Okay, so this is a short paper for called Destinism, Andrew and Bailey, and Philosophia. Let's give it a whirl. Destinism, let us say, is the thesis that only the things we can do are those things that we in fact do. It follows from Destinism that if you didn't do something, you couldn't have done it. Destinism is a consequence of the conjunction of incompatibilism and determinism. But that conjunction is by no means the only route to Destinism, for Destinism may well be equivalent to a thesis sometimes called fatalism, and so supported by the usual arguments for that depressing hypothesis. I was fatalistic when I was a kid. I was extremely fatalistic. I was like, well, nothing really we can do, it's just going to happen anyway. One more preliminary. Let P be something, any at all, that you believe. So you have to believe something for this paper to work. For all you people who have no beliefs, this does not apply to you, but everyone else. So here's consider this. Consequence. If Destinism, then, if something can be done, it is done. Belief. You believe P. Should, for any X, if it is not true, you should not believe it. From should to can. For any X, if X should be done, then X can be done. These four claims, together with Destinism, generate a puzzling conclusion. Therefore, for any X, if X is not true, you cannot believe it. Therefore, if Destinism, then, for any X, if X is not true, then you do not believe it. Therefore, if Destinism, then P is true. Therefore, P is true. Yeah, so if you think it's possible, then that means it's going to happen, because the only thing that are actually possible are the ones that happen, and therefore anything you actually believe is true. But you can't believe things that can't happen then. So, I mean, it puts a lot of restriction on what you could possibly believe. You can only believe things that could actually happen, so you can only believe true things. So there is no belief then, I guess. It's only knowledge. So, the author says, that doesn't seem right. It mustn't be that easy to prove that some arbitrary thing you believe is true. Well, this is what I was just saying. Look. If you're thinking that everything is destined, everything's fatalistic, everything is just gonna turn out one way, it's a massive restriction on your knowledge. You don't know a whole lot. You don't even believe a whole lot at that point. So it's not actually that you're proving that something's true, because you're proving there's only a very, very slight amount of stuff you believe, and so to prove that might not be so hard. Okay. So I'm actually thinking that this is not of course, this is me who used to be fatalistic. I can tell you I didn't believe shit, or it didn't matter what I believed. And so if I thought if I believed it, then it was true, because that was just a fact. I didn't believe it otherwise. And so it wasn't that easy to prove, because it wasn't that easy to have a belief at that point. So if you very simple. This is not that hard, but then you have to already be a fatalist. Okay, sure, there are some values for P that need not trouble us, true things that you believe, but I'd wager, and I suspect that you'd wager too, there's something or other you believe that isn't true. Well, see, that's the thing. I may not have done this. I may have just denied believing anything back when I was that way. Just let P be like that. So you have to believe something that isn't true, or that you don't know is true, basically. And yet we can derive from our opening claims the truth of anything at all that you believe. If you aren't yet convinced that we have a puzzle on our hands, recast the claims to be about something I believe that you deny. Then we'd have a proof that I am right. Okay, yeah. It just needs that anyone can believe it. But then again, like I said, people would put a lot more restrictions on what you could believe then. Something is amiss, but what? Consequence is a restatement of determinism. Destinism, sorry. Consequence is a restatement of destinism. That was one of the terms of these things up here is consequence. If Destinism, then, if something can be done, it is done. Belief is also true by definition. We select P from among our beliefs. The first two constituents of the puzzle then seem beyond reproach. Yeah, it's just the definitions. The problem must lie elsewhere. Three options remain. The three options were the should, the from should to can, or Destinism. Should encodes in the second person singular a plausible view about a more general duty to avoid believing what is not true. Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't believe what's not true. From should to can is a version of that venerable theory that ought implies can. And then there's Destinism itself. One of them has got to go. And so I conclude that either Destinism is false, we can do some things we don't do, or should is false, we're allowed to believe some falsehoods, or from should to can is false. Ought doesn't after all imply can. Either way, we've got a puzzle on our hands. I frame the puzzle in terms of belief and a general duty to avoid believing what is not true. This detail is not essential. We could replace not true throughout with not justified, for example, and arrive at the conclusion that none of your beliefs are not justified. Or if that's not bad enough, that none of my beliefs are not justified. We could also leave the epistemic realm altogether. Let D be something you've done, and let something be bad just if it is gratuitous, harmful, and without outweighing benefits, say. Done. You did D. Should star. For any claim X, if X is bad, you should not do that thing. These two claims, together with consequence and the other rules above, are equally as puzzling. Therefore, for anything you did, if it's bad, you can't do it. Therefore, if Destinism is true, then if anything you did and it's bad, then you shouldn't do that. Therefore, if Destinism, then D is not bad. Therefore, D is not bad, because you did not do it if the Destinism wasn't true, but yeah, so you do not do it if Destinism, because if it's bad, but therefore D is not bad because you did do it from 6, and then D is not bad. The conclusion we can draw, nothing you've ever done is bad, is no less startling than the view that all your beliefs are true. It too demands an answer. Again, this is not actually that hard to get out of, because I used to think this way, so it's not very hard. You never did anything in Destinism. You were set up that way. That was the universe doing stuff. You didn't do it. And so you actually are completely absolved of responsibility because it was your destiny to do it anyway. And your destiny is not up to you. It was up to something else. And so if you have a destiny and you are like destined to, take over the world or like be king or whatever that is, in some sense, like your struggle might feel like your own, but it kind of ain't because it was the universe had set you up to be that way. So again, the things that you'd actually be responsible for were the ones that were had nothing to do with your destiny. So like you could maybe you could think like it's your destiny to be the king, but maybe not everything is your destiny. So you might have some free will some other area, but no. So that's the thing. This is one of these fun things. Like, I don't even have a problem with this paper. It's a nice paper. And I don't think people really get themselves into the mindset of someone in this area. But, like, once you start getting fatalistic, then you realize, well, what's up to me? It's not me. It's just fate. And, like, again, so, like, if you can't do it, then you didn't do it. It's like, well, this is an excuse for bad behavior, too. If you want to excuse your bad behavior, it wasn't me. The devil made me do it. It wasn't me. It was the drugs. It wasn't me. It was the universe that conspired to do this. You can rationalize away all you want that way. But, like, you don't have agency anymore. And so, or you don't have beliefs. Your beliefs don't matter either. Like, if you were believing something, it's like the world has conspired to make you think this. That's fine. Maybe you can think something different. You have to work at that. That's cool, too. But again, you don't actually have like strong beliefs because, if it was fated this way that the world had to be that way, then, you don't get many options of what to believe. You only get to believe what is true, and you don't actually have much of a version of the future. There's no like real future that you can predict because you are not interested in in some sense what's coming, because it doesn't matter to you because it's fated anyway. And so you don't have to worry about these sorts of things. So, I mean, does anyone have any question about this? I'm like ranting about like what it is to think in an actually fatalistic way. You don't actually have beliefs about the future. That would be false, because why would you do that? It wouldn't be worth it. And so you don't believe things that are not true because you only believe things that do happen, but like nothing in the future happens, so you don't think about that. You don't have beliefs about that. And similarly, you don't worry about, ethics, because ethics is like, well, it wasn't all me anyway. I don't have agency, and so anything I did do is not bad, because on what sense of bad is there? You can't be blaming the universe for like being a bad universe. That doesn't make sense. So, oh, interesting. There was a independently offered by Humor. Humor presents an alleged proof of free will. I present these theses that are jointly puzzling. Humor's argument concerns determinism. Mine uses a more circumscribed Destinism. My development of the puzzle is in terms of what is bad. Finally, is novel. Okay, so it is interesting that there was a similar work that came out, is coming out, and the author's like knows about it, but like they found out afterwards. A proof of free will. So this is like a working paper the author found. Okay. Anyone have a question on that? I know this is a little bit of fun for me, because I can reminding me back how I was when I was a teenager. Small nogger. It's like, yeah. And I always found it funny. Like, people be like, you were fatalistic? I was like, yeah. Yeah, it is an interesting concept. But I mean, if we have no agency, it's really easy to get to. If we have no agency, we are not responsible for our own actions. And what are we doing? Blaming society, blaming the universe? It's like, yeah, you can blame the universe, but like that's kind of stupid. You can't really blame the universe for being evil. That's like blaming God. It's like, well, why did God allow evil in the universe? And then you've got the problem of that. And it's like you've got like this weird problem. You can't, once you start taking away free will from people, then responsibility goes out the window too. And then nothing you ever did was bad because you weren't really the one responsible for it. And there is no target of the responsibility. I mean, you can blame the devil if you want, but you're not going to get very far blaming the devil. So, oh yeah, welcome in, Shane. What if God is evil? Then like that's fine, but like again, where's that going to get you? I mean, no one's gonna. What am I doing? Yeah, but I mean that's the whole thing. It's that and everyone here probably should know Shane. If you don't know Shane, go check out Shane. Shane teaches history and does a great history stream, and also makes some Gundams when he's not streaming history. Also has taught he teaches at the college level, also sociology in the past. So you should go check out Shane's streams. They're super entertaining. You know, it's one of those, if like they had only made school the way Shane did it, like people would have liked history and stuff. So it's like, this is the sort of thing. So it's like, go check out Shane. But yeah, it's like, well, anytime you're starting to blame the universe or God or these things outside of like where you want to lay, where that takes human responsibility away from us, then you're going to get into these metaphysical things like theodicy. So yeah, it's like if you want, so that's the question, like, well, what are you claiming is bad then? What do you mean by the word bad if we don't have responsibility? You're not blaming us. Are you blaming society? Are you blaming the culture? Are you blaming the destiny, the gods have cursed you? Are you just like evil by nature? Like you were born that way? Is it biology? And then you've got like none of that really works. Juggling biohazards. You like to stream? What's the overall theme for tonight? We did this super interesting thing about dark knowledge. The metaphors used in D.H. Lawrence trying to deconstruct the modern view of like the mechanist worldview. Then I just I found this like 3-page paper on proving that there is no that either all your beliefs are true or that you've never done anything bad in your life. So we've just quick proof that you've never actually, done anything bad. But whatever. I mean, this is the funny thing is that if everything in your world is like fated, like if everything is destined, then it takes away all responsibility. But then where is the where is your moral like judgments? What's the target of your moral judgments? It ain't you, because you didn't set your destiny. It was something else. So yeah, I was just thinking maybe we could get the Supreme Court in the United States to weigh in on this. If life begins at conception, then, and that was fated, then all the kids in the United States no longer have responsibility, because isn't their whole life determined then? Or did they just declare free will given at that point? But everything prior to that was not free will. I don't know. Yeah, so I'm going to read another paper. If anyone has any suggestions, short, whatever, and welcome in Juggling Biohazards. Hope you're doing well. So yeah, if you have questions about this is not like crazy stuff, but I just don't think people really understand what goes into fatalism, or destinism as they say here. So you see, the fundamental and possible main issue with Christianity are our original sins predetermined, or do we have free will? Yes, exactly. And that's kind of what's at issue here. If there is a destiny, like, where is the free will? And this is at odds with that. If everything is fated in fatalism, then where is the responsibility? Like, who gets personal responsibility at that point? And yeah. And it's like, and that's the same thing. If like this author actually cast it in terms of belief, what do you actually get to believe at that point, since only the things that happen are true, and only true things should be believed, and so that means everything that you do believe should be true, because you can only believe things that are going to happen. And so why wouldn't you only ever have true beliefs? So like, if something can be done, well, the only things that can be done are done. That's the nature of the whole universe being determined. Again, I mean, I guess you could say something like along the lines of we can form beliefs about the world that don't actually apply to the world. But then that'd be weird, because aren't your beliefs supposed to be about the world? But like, you could say they're about some sort of fiction, and then you could maybe deny that what it means for you to believe anything. But yeah, I guess that would change the meaning of belief, because it wouldn't be about the world, it'd be about some sort of fiction. And then if it's about a fiction that might not be the world, yeah, you can believe it, and then you're just believing all your own fictions that you have in your head. Like, you're believing your imagination, but that doesn't connect to the world, and then none of your beliefs are about the world. So yeah, you'd still run into problems here. So yeah. So what is it to believe, I guess, is what it comes down to at this point. And like I was saying, I didn't actually think much about the future, or I had very limited thoughts about the future back when I was fatalistic, because there was no point in thinking about things that weren't like sort of real. And so the idea that you had like lots of big beliefs about the world, I didn't have those. I had like certain kinds of beliefs about the world, but it was much more limited. And yeah. Typology of deviance. No, I don't know what that is. You will have to educate me again. So, yeah. But what is it to be fatalistic? And it's like, yeah, and I think this person is exactly right, but like, they're coming at fatalism from a non-fatalistic perspective. I had no problem not thinking about the future when I was fatalistic, because it was pointless back then. Okay. But yeah. Let me know if you have anything else to say, but I don't have anything else to say here. Well, let's go find something else to read.